Busy season. For anyone in the audit world, just hearing those two words can be enough to make your heart rate jump. But what if that whole cycle of just powering through isn't the only way to do it? Today, we're going to dive into a massive strategic shift that's changing the entire game. How U.S. audit firms are using hybrid global support models to not just survive the crunch, but to actually win because of it. Yeah, this one really hits home, doesn't it? It just captures that feeling so perfectly. You think you've got a great plan, you're ready to go, and then bam, before you know it, you are buried. It's a universal pain point in this industry, and it's the exact problem we're going to unpack today. All right, so let's get to the heart of the issue. We're calling it the modern audit squeeze. And it's really this perfect storm where client demands, all the new regulations, and shorter timelines, they've all just collided, leaving teams with way more pressure and way less time than ever before. Just take a look at this list. I bet some of this looks painfully familiar, right? You've got these compressed deadlines, a brutal market for hiring good people, and of course the constant threat of burnout. And that's not even getting into the day-to-day operational headaches, testing phases that drag on forever, documentation that's all over the place. Look, these aren't just small annoyances. These are major cracks in the foundation that can sink profitability and morale. For years, the default response to all this pressure was pretty simple. Just work longer, work harder, power through it. But the smartest firms out there are realizing that's not a strategy for growth. It's a recipe for burnout. So they're making a really intentional pivot, a strategic shift away from that brute force approach. And this slide just lays it all out so clearly. On the left, you've got the old reactive way of thinking. Just throw more overtime at the problem, bring in some temporary help, and basically just accept that burnout is the cost of doing business. But the smart shift, over on the right, it's totally different. It is proactive. It's about building a sustainable, long-term strategy with these integrated global teams. This is a fundamental change in how the work itself actually gets done. Okay, so if that's the new strategy, where are firms actually going to build these integrated teams? Well, the answer, overwhelmingly, is India. And listen, this is a super important point. This isn't just about finding more bodies or extra capacity. It's about tapping into a genuine hub of excellence. So let's break down exactly why India has become this powerhouse. First, you've got this deep pool of incredible talent, people who are often already trained in US GAAP. You get these highly disciplined workflows, which means your work papers come back cleaner and more consistent. You can scale your team up or down super quickly, but the one element that is an absolute game changer, that's the time zone advantage. And this right here, this is the magic of that time zone advantage in action. I mean, just picture this. Your US team wraps up their day, they assign a bunch of testing and documentation tasks, and they come back the next morning to find it all done. Overnight delays? They're just gone. They're eliminated. The work literally never stops, which creates this continuous 24-hour workflow that just turbocharges the entire audit. So, what does this look like on the ground? What are these global teams actually doing every day? Well, the core idea is really simple. They take on the more repetitive, time-intensive tasks. And that frees up your senior in-house experts to focus on the really high-value strategic work that they should be doing. This slide gives you a perfect snapshot. These global support teams can handle the heavy lifting, all that testing, vouching, and getting work papers ready. They can clean up the client's financial data before the audit even kicks off, which, as you know, is a massive time sink. They can even provide specialized help in complex areas like fund accounting. So what's the result? Your local experts get to stop drowning in tedious tasks and spend more of their brain power on risk analysis, client strategy, and final review. Okay, now, at this point, I know what you're probably thinking. There's always that one big question that comes up, right? It's the elephant in the room whenever we talk about moving work to a global team. And it's the big one. What about quality? And here it is. This is the number one concern, and honestly, it's a totally fair question. Your firm has spent years, maybe decades, building its reputation on the quality and integrity of your work. So does this new model put all of that at risk? Well, the answer to that question is really powerful, and for a lot of people, it's pretty surprising. The reality is, when you implement this model the right way, it doesn't just maintain quality, it actually improves it. Let's talk about how that's even possible. So why does the quality actually go up? Well, it's pretty logical when you think about it. The global teams are fantastic at standardized processes, which means you get more consistent documentation. Your local experts, now freed from the grind, can spend more quality time on the high-risk, complex areas. That 24-hour cycle gets rid of the bottlenecks. And, of course, when your team isn't completely fried, morale goes up and you stop losing your best people. It's this virtuous cycle that all adds up to a better final product.
Okay, so this all sounds great, right? The benefits are clear, but how do you actually do it? I mean, this sounds like a huge change. And you're right, it is. But it's not about flipping a switch overnight. It's about a smart, manageable process of integration.
This framework here is your roadmap, and you can see it's all about being methodical. You start small, right? You find those tasks that are just eating up all your team's time. You build clear, repeatable processes and set your expectations right up front. Then, and this is the key part, you run a small pilot. Test it out on just 1 or 2 audit areas. That lets you review the work, fine-tune everything, and build confidence before you even think about expanding. It's a totally low-risk, high-control way to make this transition. And this quote, man, it just says it all. The challenges that audit firms are facing today are fundamentally different from what they were even 10 years ago. And just relying on that old method of working harder, that's not a strategy anymore. It's a dead end. So the question I'll leave you with is this. Is your firm's operating model designed for the challenges of the past, or is it built to win the future of auditing?